Welcome back to the Hoggie Shuffle. It's a little bit different this week. You know, you got host Preston here, co-host Robbie.
I can touch him.
We're finally getting to do an episode in person, so it's nice. Robbie's up this weekend. We got our nephew's graduation happening, so
nice to be home.
Right, we got to have a good time together, and it's gonna be awesome. Oh, it was so much fun, getting to be out there with him and just getting to experience and see him today. Getting to see him all dressed up in his nice suit and everything, walking that stage. Makes me so proud. I can tell you that 100%. But going into obviously why we're here. We're talking about the O-line. We're talking about the big dogs. We're talking about everybody here. What to expect for today's episode. We're going to talk about the PFF top tackles in the league. We got top 5 PFF ranking tackles in the league. We're going to talk about some flags in the play, some comments out there that people have made, or some questionable things that I don't know. They're a little different to me. We're going to do a fun little game a little bit as well, too. We'll go into that kind of more into it, but it's going to be a randomized offensive line game. We're going to hit into that.
Ooh.
We'll deep dive into some PFF full roster outlooks as well, too. Just look at our top 5 teams in the league going into the 2025 season. Hit a little bit of mailbag, some would you rather. Just get a couple questions there, a couple games. And, overall, just have a fun episode in person and just really get to bond and have a good time.
Let's hit it. What do we got up first?
So, first up is going to be the top tackle rankings in the league. So, go here, just 1 second.
The first one should not come as a surprise to most of you guys. Like, some of you guys will be like, oh, the Cowboys are the greatest team in the world. But honestly, the first guy, I'm going to let you date because it's your guy.
Well, I've seen the list, and this is an unbiased list. This is right off PFF rankings. This is right from, they just posted this list the other day, so we're just going into that. But, the first guy is Jordan Mailata. The guy's an absolute monster. He had a number 1 overall PFF grade among all tackles. About 140 tackles were put into this. He was the number 1, 95.8, 91.7 pass block rate with a 94.9 run block rate. Now, keep in mind, the pass block rate, that's number 2. Run block rate is number 1.
Right.
So that's a dog right there. That is an absolute monster. He, what was it here? He had 13 over 400 and 6 passing snaps, only allowed 1 sack, and he only allowed 13 pressures in those 406 passing snaps. Being a former rugby guy, going into football, going into stuff like this is it's absolutely unreal to see the guy be this much of a monster and see how he has this much availability to be a monster.
Well, again, and you also got to look at the strength of your schedule last year.
Oh, 100%.
You guys had one of the toughest schedules out there last year, and for him to have stats like that with, just look at even saying that you had to play Washington twice in 1 year, that's a huge stats.
Oh, man. And then to go all the way to the Super Bowl, to do it all, to keep playing at that high level and, pushing through injuries and things like that is just unreal.
This next one, Tristan Wirfs, I don't know if you guys knew this, but dude did not allow a sack all season last year. Absolutely crazy. PFF overall grade 82.8, 9th among 140 tackles. Pass block grade was 93.7, so he was first in pass blocking across the board, the best guy out there. Run blocking, not so great. He's 64.5, so he's in the lower end of the run blocking. But here's the crazy one. 0 sacks allowed. And he's got Baker Mayfield. So, Baker Mayfield's running here, running there, running all over the place, and still 0 sacks. He allowed 12 pressures on 1,014 snaps. That is absolutely insane. Wirf became the first player in NFL history to earn first-team All-Pro honors at both right and left tackle.
And the guy's a monster. When you look at the statistically speaking wise, and you see his run block grade being a little bit lower there, I get it. And I get there's people that are going to be out there saying, oh, he doesn't deserve to be number 2 because the next guy out there, I'm telling you, technically is the true number 2 for PFF rankings. But sometimes the stats don't lie. You got to go off the visual test. And what I can see, what you can see, what anyone can see out there is that this guy is the top number 1, number 2 guy in the league. He switched from left tackle to go to right tackle. He did all these different things to be able to prove how good he is. I think he's the highest paid offensive lineman in the league. Not by much. Him and Sewell really, really close. But he's just such a dog. And so, yes, I get his run block grade wasn't the greatest last year. But watch what's going to happen this year. I guarantee you he's going to be in the top 10 for run block rate.
But again, you want to tell me why he's number 2? Check out the goose egg that he's got laying there on sacks allowed.
Exactly. And that's what I mean. Exactly.
He's doing the job that he's paid to do. Let that quarterback, you're the tackle, especially the left tackle, you got one major key job, and it's to allow that quarterback to throw the ball. And obviously, he's getting paid because he knows how to do it.
So this next guy out there I'm going to talk about, his name's Rashawn Slater. Plays for the Chargers. Now, I know what you're thinking. I know. But you got to realize he had such a surge last season right at the end. He's clean. He's consistent. He was, I believe, the number 2 for all tackles. So he's 91.1. So his PFF grading was higher than worst. Yes, I get that. But he allowed 22 pressures. I don't know his exact sack rating. I didn't see it on there, but I mean, he earned his second Pro Bowl selection in 2024, so showcasing that he's getting better. And I mean, he was the number 2 overall PFF graded for tackles. He was number 3 overall for pass blocking, and number 5 for run blocking. I mean, the guy's an absolute monster, and he's only going to go up from here. I just think he's just an absolute monster.
I mean, he plays for LA's third favorite team, so you know, sitting behind number 1 being the Raiders and number 2 being the Rams. So
now I'm gonna hit a back-to-back one here because another one of these guys is my guy, and it's really cool to say that the Eagles have, statistically speaking, 2 guys in the top 5 for PFF pass blocking, run blocking grades, just monsters. So we all know who I'm going to talk about here. It's Mr. False Step himself. It's Lane Johnson. Like, the guy is an absolute monster. We probably only have 1 or 2 more seasons left with him. He's getting older, but I'm sorry, I'm going to die on the hill. He's the best right tackle in my eyes. And I get it. I know there's some guys out there, but that's a little biased. I understand that. But you got to realize, like, he's just disgusting. Like, his PFF grade was 85.4. His pass block grade was 88.1. Run block grade 80. He played all 15 games last year. I believe he did miss 1 because he had the injury before the Super Bowl. But he did play through the Super Bowl with a I don't know the exact injury, but I know he tore something in his arm and played through the whole Super Bowl with it as well too. I mean, the guy's an absolute monster.
I mean, if you want to know who this guy is, just Google speech before the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And then what he said to his teammates before the Super Bowl, and I can't repeat it on here because, you know, there's a couple cusses and a couple. So if you want to see it, go see it. And everything you need to know about Lane Johnson, you will see just in that 30-second clip video.
What gets me, and I've been an Eagles fan for a long time, so I follow these guys on social. I see all their stuff out there. The dude's straight out of Texas, and, you know, obviously being an Eagles fan, it's tough for me to say that I love that he's from Texas, but it's just the energy he brings and the vibes he brings in, and then you see his offseason form. Dude drops 20, 30 pounds in the offseason. He's got a full 6-pack. He is just ripped up monster, and then he's just the nicest guy. And just like Jordan Maliato, we talked about this a few episodes back, he also is in that Christmas album singing, showing off his pipes. I mean, like, I'm telling you right now, he has one song, I think it's called it's like Christmas Blues or Blue Christmas. And he gets in his nice low cowboy voice and stuff, and like, it's magical. It's so cool to see these big guys giving back to community, giving back to charities like that.
Best Elvis voice.
Exactly. That would be the best impersonation of it. Yeah, exactly.
So the next guy needs zero introduction. He's been in the league for many years, and I was talking about him last week, punching Richard Sherman in the face because the guy just is an all-out assault machine. And again, like Preston just said, we won't have him for much longer. So if you want to watch him, get your chance in this year and maybe next season. I had like the season coming up, and that could be his last. Trent Williams, 85.6, so still 6th among offensive tackles. Pass block grade 84.5, so he's 9th. Run block grade 81.4, he's 8th place. Sacks allowed, 1 sack over 649 snaps.
Now, I know what you're thinking. The last guy we talked about, 1,000 snaps, 900 snaps, he did get injured last year. And because of his, getting older, he's going to have those injuries. But even still, when he's healthy, he's a top 5 guy all day long. There's not even a question about it.
Like, as I said, as Preston said, he's injured, but still among being injured, he was still earning top 10 PFF grades among tackles. And I mean, I'm sorry, but he is just a different type of monster. Like, somebody said this to me the other day. When you get into a car accident, the next one's not so bad. So being an offensive lineman, you get that feeling of smashing. Your fear of another man just goes away.
100%.
Right? So him having zero fear of any man, being as big as he is what's called an unstoppable wrecking machine. And he's been unstoppable for 10 seasons in the NFL. Just an absolute monster.
Oh, it doesn't matter what team he plays for. Like when he was on the Redskins or the Commanders, going to the 49ers, anywhere he goes, he brings that element that an offensive line has, where he is just a mean mamma jamma. He is going to make sure he just puts that fist down your throat and just drives you into the dirt every single time he can get it.
Well, he lives off something I used to live my life by. I'm bigger than you, and I know it.
And he is.
And you know what I mean? So when you're on the football field, that's a very great mentality to have.
100%. Now, going into the questions about this, do you agree or disagree? Is there anybody on this list that you think would be, should be on there? Personally, there's one guy that I thought should be on the list that, wasn't on the top 5, but he's right there. And that's old Penei Sewell. He was 4th among tackles, so he had an 87.5 PFF grading. He had his run block. This is where he comes down. His run block. He was 2nd overall for run block with a 90.5. His pass block rating dropped a little bit, right? 74.1, only 39th among all tackles. But I mean, again, this is a guy next year. He's going to be in this top 5 list again. I guarantee you're going to see that pass blocking within the top 10 again. Like, yes, he had a little bit of a down season with the pass blocking, but if you look at the reality is he only allowed 1 sack, right? 1 sack over 1,144 snaps, and he only had 29 pressures.
Whoa.
So, I mean, like, say what you want, but that's a dog.
Right. Me, I'm hoping and I'm praying that my boy Jackson Powers Johnson is going to be on this list. I've just been hearing him talk a lot in the media lately about being aggressive, and he essentially took the center job for the Raiders. He didn't get it. Like, they didn't put him at center. He just walked up to old coach Antonio Pierce before he was gone and said, "Hey, I won the award for the best college player at center. You didn't draft me to be center, but I'm taking center. I'm going to be the center, whether you like it or not. So you might as well just give it to me." And he's our center.
That's a dog right there,
right? And Colton Miller too. Like, I'm hoping that Colton Miller has a better season than he did last year too. So.
Next thing I want to hop into is we're gonna go to some flag on the play. Obviously, I don't have a whistle or anything like that to get going on this or anything. Maybe I could add a little whistle in there. We'll see.
Tweet.
It's flag on the play. First take I wanted to talk about is Bryce Huff just got traded to the Niners from the Eagles. He only recorded 2.5 sacks last year for us. They're banking on him to have a recovery, get back to his 2023 form under his new coordinator, Robert Saleh. But we'll see. Again, it was tough for him because we had so many dogs come in with Nolan Smith and all these younger guys, where it really made it tough for Huff to get his foot going on the Eagles' defensive line. Personally, I think this takes a little bit of a holding penalty. I think that there's a flag on the play here because at the end of the day, yes, he's going to perform, he's going to do good, but how is he going to impact the new system along guys with Nick Bosa and rookie Mikael Williams? Guys like Nick Bosa, yeah, they're getting a little up there. They're trying to guide the younger dudes in there and guide the younger generation coming up. But overall, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be the guy. I think that we got rid of him for a reason and how he knows what he's doing.
Well, you got to understand this one thing too. Some guys are always looking for that mentality, and coming off the Eagles, and right now what they have is they have championship mentality.
Oh yeah.
And to bring a guy, especially a little bit older of a guy, into the locker room with these other guys is getting them into the mental state where they need to be able to go and compete at a high level later on in the season.
100%.
And that's a big thing. This next one, I'm kind of crazy to see where this goes. Is Von Miller.
There we go.
Von Miller's released from the Bills on March 9th, 2025. The Bills released veteran linebacker Von Miller, salary cap move. He was freeing up $8.4 million. Despite the release, both parties have expressed openness to potential comeback. Now, I'm gonna throw a flag on that one because Von Miller is the kind of guy that you want running your defensive line.
100%.
And to not just say, hey, let's just take down your salary cap a little bit and we'll free up a little money here and give you a little extra money there. Like, come on, it's Von Miller.
He's a Super Bowl MVP.
Super Bowl MVP, just so we're all aware.
You restructure the contract so he can, at least, at worst case scenario, he can bring up the young guys and teach them what it needs to be to have that winner mentality. And the Bills, they're a couple pieces away from having that.
Like, why would you rather have a Bosa? Like, I don't understand that. What has Bosa ever done? Bosa's done nothing. Except for take pictures for Vogue magazine with his brother. Like that's the guy that you want running your D-line, not a Super Bowl MVP who absolutely was the biggest reason why Cam Newton's career was ended because he just exposed the kind of whining garbage that came out of Cam Newton's face.
Man, at the end of the day, we all watched that Super Bowl. Peyton Manning was he got him there, but in that game, he was very subpar. He did not have a great game. No. And it took a guy like Von Miller to take control of that entire game and say, fuck this. We're not losing the Super Bowl. I'm putting the team on my back, and I'm going to get a defensive Super Bowl MVP.
We're not losing the Super Bowl back-to-back.
How many players won the defensive Super Bowl MVP? I bet you it's one hand. I don't know the top of my head, but I bet you it's one hand.
And we're talking like new age.
I'll throw it up on the screen for the pod. I'll throw it up on the screen when we edit the video here. That's what I want to talk about. So I seen this on social media a couple days ago, and this is definitely conduct detrimental to the team, 15-yard penalty, and potential ejection. So I'm talking about Stephon Diggs. I don't know if you guys seen the video or whatnot. He's on the yacht. Cardi B's chilling on the side. So there was a video leaked and shows him questionable situation. You know, he's a lot of younger girls around him, like young women, and he's chalking up a pink powder, doing something a little that he shouldn't be doing. Maybe I'm not 100% sure. You know, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a cop. I don't know. You know,
Could have been lemonade.
I'm just saying, doing stuff like that. And missing OTAs, you're missing main camp or a mini camp right now. You just signed a $69 million deal with the Patriots, and you're just gonna before playing even a single game now, you have a leaked video doing this with you. Like that's what I mean. That's conduct detrimental to the team, potential ejection right there. You know, like I said, if you look at the Patriots, the discipline under Coach Mike Vrabel, his off-field behavior and his future with the team is just it's not going to work. And how can they build balance and build talent in the team culture when you're having guys do stuff like that? And you know, in the Belichick era, gone. He wouldn't even be in that video dropped. Gone the next day. He's out.
100%. No shenanigans.
No, this wouldn't allow it.
Travis Kelce's potential bench role. Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chiefs star tight end is facing speculation about being benched in favor of Noah Gray after posting career-low stats in the previous season. Now, I'm possibly going to throw two penalties here. I'm going to throw one either side. Because something happened to Travis Kelce in his personal life, and it has taken over a little bit of what he's doing in his career.
100%.
But to pause there and stop, his greatness will never be brought down because of that name that I refuse to say because I think it's a detriment to our game right now. So I'm not saying her name.
At the end of the day, the guy's had a great career. And to have one subpar season when your team still makes it to a Super Bowl, I don't know. It's a questionable call to say that you're even going to consider putting him on the bench. I just don't. Sorry, go ahead.
He's done more things in a shorter time than any other tight end's ever done.
100%. And people can go out there and call him a wide receiver or say he doesn't block, doesn't do this or that. He does the number one thing tight ends are supposed to do. Catch short yard passes, and get touchdowns.
He is a wide receiver.
No, but I'm saying at the end of the day, he gets open over the middle of the field. He's electric on the field. He does all the right things. And you can't put his character into jeopardy when you talk about just because who he dates. You know what I mean?
I'm a true Raiders fan.
100%.
But I will never look at that Kelce brother as anything else than a miraculous football player.
For sure.
To go out in 3 Super Bowls, right? He's been to 4, but he also broke Jerry Rice's catch record.
Right.
And so,
but for the playoffs,
100% is for the playoffs. Yeah. But you got to be some kind of. Did Gronk ever do it?
No.
And Gronk is like the greatest tight end of all time in some people's eyes. But again, Travis Kelce, the way that he runs, and people make fun of his little weird hands, and it's like it's all purposeful. Everything that guy has done has been purposeful.
100%.
So I mean, I'm going to throw a flag on the Chiefs for saying that. But then again, I'm also going to put it on Travis Kelce because when you're done, you're done. If in your heart you do not have everything, and in your brain you don't have everything, hang it up. You had the best career as a tight end. You got 3 Super Bowls. You went to more. If you don't have
the drive,
if you don't have the drive to not want to get benched behind some guy that nobody could even name his name, what are you doing, man?
I'm gonna take one. Shorzy. Can't. What is it? What does he say? You gotta hate to lose.
You gotta hate to lose.
You gotta hate to lose. If you don't hate to lose, then I'll tell you what, you shouldn't even be playing sports.
Right. And then we're gonna go on to the next one. You guys will you might understand this conversation about the next guy a little bit more.
So there's a guy out there that he's been on a few trips out there, a few little events, you know, and right now he is just honeypotting a team saying, I'm in or I'm out, I'm in or I'm out, I'm in or I'm out. He's got a $30 million contract on the line with the Pittsburgh Steelers and raising questions in his commitment to the teams and the plans. And for me, this is indecisive play. This is loss of downs.
Right?
Like, this is a career detrimental thing that if you realize that he would have retired 2 or 3 seasons ago after he got his MVP, go in the sunset and retire and leave. But you've now tanked your entire career to the point now no one remembers you for your Super Bowl win. No one remembers you for the time there. All people remember you for is going on ayahuasca trips and tearing your leg out playing for the Jets.
Like, there was a time when I would hold Aaron Rodgers over Brett Favre.
100%.
And I probably still do because Brett Favre steals money from homeless kids.
But not talking personal. We're talking just playing in the NFL side by side. Brett Favre still went and played successfully. Aaron Rodgers left the Packers and has only went downhill.
If it wasn't for one bad call by the freaking Minnesota Vikings, Brett Favre probably would have won the Super Bowl and the Saints wouldn't have won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. One crappy call, you got AP, and you don't run with AP. In my eyes, it's equally as big as the Pete Carroll, Marshawn Lynch Patriots game.
Yep.
You run Adrian Peterson, kick the field goal, and you go home. And you go to the Super Bowl. Like stupid Vikings. Sorry, I'm still mad about it. Still mad to this day about it.
What's our next one here? So those are the flags in the play that we've seen this week. You know, some are going to challenge upon further review. The calls still stand. Stay tuned for more. We got more penalties coming out next week. We're going to try and do some more flag on the play next week and really see some more stories out there. Next thing I want to do is we're going to go into our fun game here. So we're going to have a little game. It's going to be called the Wheel of Teams.
The Wheel of Teams.
So we're going to spin the wheel 5 times. Wheel's on my phone right here. We're going to spin the wheel 5 times.
Oh, we'll put it on.
And what's going to happen is we can pick 2 players from each team, just in case, but we're going to spin the randomized wheel, right? So depending what team we get, we have to pick a lineman from there, and we're going to build a starting 5 each. And we're going to see who's starting 5 is going to match up better or worse, and go from there. So I think it'll be fun.
I like it.
So I'm going to start it off here first.
Younger brother gets to spin first.
Let's hit the randomizer, see what we get. First team is the Atlanta Falcons.
The Atlanta Falcons.
From the Atlanta Falcons, 100%. I'm taking left tackle Jake Matthews, 100%. Left tackle Jake Matthews. Check that off the board real quick here. Left tackle off the board.
That was an easy one. Guy's a dog.
Hey, we should do it like this. We should go team for team. All right, Rob's going to take the second turn for his offensive line.
Miami Dolphins. Here we go. Dolphins, I'm taking Aaron Brewer, center.
Perfect. All right. I'm up. Who'd I get? Los Angeles Rams. All righty. So from the LA Rams, I'm going to choose that here. I already picked my left tackle, so I'm going to go with... let's go with right guard, Kevin Dotson. That's what I'm going to go with, right guard, Kevin Dotson.
All right, Rob spin. Here we go. We got New Orleans Saints, baby. I'm going to go with right tackle, Ryan Ramczyk.
Ooh, right.
He's a great run blocker.
I got Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to go with left guard, Dalton Reisner.
Yeah.
Left guard, Dalton Reisner of the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay, I'm blowing on this one. Come on, Raiders. Oof. The Giants. Can I respin? Holding out on that left tackle. I ain't taking theirs. I'm going to take... What did I got? I got a center. I got a right tackle. I'm going to go with my left guard between... I'm going to take John Runyon Jr.
All right, we're down to the last pick here. Jacksonville Jaguars. Man, I just couldn't get the Eagles.
All right, I'm going to get them. I'm going to get...
Okay, so one more pick.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I got 2.
I'm going to go right guard, Brandon Sheriff.
He's also a dog. Come on, Eagles.
Denver Broncos.
The Denver Broncos. I'm going to go with... What did I get? I need a right guard.
Quinn Menares.
Quinn Menares. You
All
are
right.
my right guard.
Last pick. Come on. Give me Cam. Give me Cam.
The New England Patriots.
Patriots for my center. I'm taking Jake Andrews.
Jake Andrews. All right, Rob's last spin. We need a left tackle. Come on, baby. Oh, it just rolled over. It just rolled over Trent Williams.
Oh.
I mean, this is not going to be a bad one, though.
No.
I got a Orlando Brown Jr., so I mean, that's probably winner in the left tackle spot there.
So now, if we're going head-to-head offensive line versus offensive line, tell us who you guys think will be the better offensive line out of the two. Who do you guys think is going to win a Super Bowl? Who do you guys think is going to keep going? I want to hear you guys' comments, and next week when we go back to this again, we'll talk about that first, and then we'll do a new segment where we're going to pick a defensive line.
Right, so
that'll be fun.
I think what we'll do is we'll go head-to-head on our first segment next week, and we'll see who actually broke down. We'll break down the stats, we'll break down the guys, and we'll see who actually drew the better offense.
Exactly. So now, next segment I want to do here. I hate that it keeps going to that. It's gonna be the roster rundown. So we're gonna talk about the PFF 2025 strengths and weaknesses going into the season. So I mean, let's not beat around the bush here. Number one team going to the 2025 is obviously going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, best defense in the league. Yes, we have a little bit of weaker passing offense, but I'll tell you this right now, and you guys know if you actually watch Eagles games, when teams force us to pass the ball, we make it work. We're pretty successful with it. Smitty's a monster.
I would almost say the only way a team can force you to pass the ball is what they did in the Super Bowl, which means that all they can do is stop the run.
Exactly. And if you stop the run, that's fine. We're just going to
commit to stopping the run when you got two of the best wide receivers in the league, and arguably, I don't give a shizer what anybody says. Dude can throw the ball.
Seen it. Seen it with my own eyes.
I mean, the wide receiver that he was hooking up with in the Super Bowl weighs 8 pounds, and he threw him the rock like nobody's business. Nobody could touch him. So, I mean, at the end of the day, take your hat off, give it to him.
100%. Now, who we got number 2 on the list here?
We got the Ravens. I will always be, a little bit of a Ravens fan because my guy Ray Lewis is there. I just seen the craziest story about Ray Lewis the other day.
Oh, his name?
Yes.
Yeah, crazy.
People have probably already seen that, but Ray Lewis's name came from a military man who did the craziest thing for a 14-year-old little girl who was pregnant, and he signed her papers to say that he was the dad so that he could have a good life. And he walked up to him at 11 years old and said, "Buddy, make your name famous one day." And he did it.
That's pretty cool.
But the best run game in the NFL, I would say that's a bit of a stretch, but Lamar Jackson as the quarterback running the ball.
Like duo. When you're talking duo,
totally.
and that's coming as an Eagles fan. That's coming as a guy who I love Saquon, I love Jalen, I think they're great. But when you actually have the best true duo for runners, it's going to be Lamar and Henry. Right? That's just the reality.
I mean, you got wide receiver depth concerns, but Zay Flowers is a guy. Now, Zay Flowers played for the Raiders. Wish we still had him. But he has drastically got better every single year that he plays in the league. And again, I think you're going to see Zay Flowers be up in the top 5 this year. Now,
number 3 on this list is going to be the Detroit Lions. They have arguably one of the best offensive lines in the league.
Hands down.
Their secondary is a little shaky. They're up there. But Emmanuel Forbes, I think, is going to be a big difference maker for them this year, for sure. I think that they're going to be a team that if they can figure it out and they can really understand it, they're going to be in the NFC Championship game. And hopefully they're playing the boys. Hopefully it's a great game and we can keep pushing on. Hopefully they're playing the Birds. It'll be awesome. Number 4 on the list.
We got the Bucks. I'm not a big Bucks fan, but I'm a big Baker Mayfield fan. I love watching that kid play football, and he is what everybody wants out of their quarterback. A guy that just dives into the offense and carries himself with such great class and respect, and he is someone that every person on that offense can look up to as a leader. They got a balanced offense. Their defense is a little bit, weak in the middle. They got rid of a lot of linebackers, but their X factor is Antoine Winfield Jr.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Now, number 5 on the list, and one thing I've noticed in this top 5 list, and again, this is not a subjective list, it's right off PFF. It's one AFC team. And I find that a little hard to believe because the AFC is typically almost stronger than the NFC in some ways, especially in the passing game. But we'll see how the season pans out. We'll see how it goes. The top 5 team on the list, though, is going to be the 49ers. Big dog with the quarterback contract this year. I think they're really pushing through. They got the top front 7 in the league. Their wide receiver room did take a bit of a hit. But I think, Brandon Ayuk, I think is going to be a guy for them this year. I think he's going to be really successful on those flies. I think he's going to be coming through and being a dog.
And CMC. If CMC can come back healthy this year.
He needs to be. If he's not healthy, they're not going to be a team. That's the reality. You see what happened last year. Now, I'm talking about a couple lower-ranked teams. Just talking about some guys that are, a little bit lower on the list, a little down as well, too, would be the Patriots. Inconsistent rookie quarterbacks. Their D-line's pretty good. Their X factor this year is going to be Christian Ellis. I think he's going to help a lot with the team.
And they bolstered that offensive line. They drafted some big guys.
Oh yeah.
And then you got the Commanders. Again, one thing we'll say about the Commanders is they've built themselves a pretty strong offensive line.
They got a good quarterback,
right? I mean, they do have one of the worst defensive lines in the league. They're a little bit outmatched, a little bit outsized, a little bit outspeeded by everybody else. But they also did draft Josh Conley Jr. So again, we'll see how he takes that team, and I think he's going to take that team by storm. Like he's going
to be a monster on the line.
Good offensive
line. Now, out of all these picks, personally, do you think there's any overrated teams on that top 5?
I'd say the Bucks. I like the Bucks. I like Baker Mayfield. I like what they do, but I still see them as a 50-50 team.
Personally, I would say you'd swap the Bucks out for the Bills in that list.
Yeah.
I think the Bills take that list a little bit more. I think that I think they're really going to be a successful team this year. I think their pass game is going to be unreal, and I think they're just overall going to be one of the best teams in the league.
That McDermott, I love McDermott, but sometimes he just makes the wrong call.
Now, underrated team. Who do you think should be on the list but isn't?
Again, I think my underrated team would probably be the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, I agree. I think they made a really big push last year, have a rookie quarterback, take them to the playoffs, and take them to the, I think it was the NFC Championship game 100%. There, and that was the first time they've been there since, I want to say the early 2000s or late 90s.
Definitely.
I think it was a long, long time. And you've seen all the videos from all the watch parties and the fans and this stuff. Like, they didn't have that. A decade plus, they didn't have that. And all of a sudden, this young gun quarterback comes in, and he changed the whole dynamic of that fan base, and making sure that they all fell back in love with the Washington football team and the Washington Commanders.
And I think you can remember one segment out of the news, and it was, I believe, Kirk Cousins. Do you like that? Do you like that? I'm pretty sure that was I'm pretty sure that was the last time they won a playoff game.
So our next segment I wanted to go into, we're going to call it Quick Hits and Hoggie Mayhem.
Ooh.
So this is more of our Would You Rather, some fun stuff there. This is a good one, and I think that we talked about this last week as well, too, with a couple Would You Rathers, but I like this one especially. So, would you rather take a full-on 100% bull rush block from Micah Parsons or get cut blocked by Creed Humphrey?
I'm going to go with my knees are in perfect shape, and the reason is because I'm a monster at eating that chop block, so I'm going head on with Micah Parsons. I want to see what that would feel like. Again, like I'm a big guy. I'm big. In younger days, I think I could possibly not be a wet paper bag against Micah Parsons. So
see, I don't know. I watched a video where Micah Parsons. Now he wasn't successful, but he went against sumo wrestlers. I mean, the dude is a monster. So personally, I might be trying to take the cut block and seeing if I can pop down a little bit lower and get out of that block, and save my knee a little bit and see if I can beat that player. What about our next one here?
This one's kind of a mind effort,
right?
Like either way, this next one's a lose-lose situation.
It's a tough one.
I don't care who you are, because even if your name's Trent Williams, you're still like
I don't know. This is a tough
guys. Play right tackle against JJ or TJ Watt or Myles Garrett,
or left tackle against Myles Garrett.
Sorry. Like Myles Garrett's just going to run you over. He doesn't have to juke you, whatever he's going to do, but he could. He's also 800 pounds. And I know he's not 800 pounds, but just look at him. He looks like he is giant from a WWE wrestling video or something like that. So I'm going to have to say TJ Watt would be the easier. I'm not saying easy. I'm just saying
here's the way I look at it.
Than Myles Garrett.
Right? You go against Myles Garrett left tackle. You're getting physically beat down the entire game. He's going to make you want to quit. He's going to absolutely beat the shit out of you. Reverse of that, though, right tackle against TJ Watt, you might not get the physical end of it as much. He might not be physically breaking you down, but mentally and in game stat-wise, he's going to get tackles against you. He's going to rip around. He's going to contain the outside. He's going to drop back if he needs to. He's going to make your life a living hell, and he's going to bury you because of the fact that you're going to get he's got such high conditioning and such a high motor that you're just going to get dogged out too quick.
So true.
And that's your big difference. You either can decide that you either want to get exhausted and get dogged out, get the absolute shit beat out of you by Myles Garrett. And so I think I agree with you. I think I take the TJ Watt one here. I think I'd take the dog out because at the end of the day, Myles Garrett is an absolute specimen of a monster. A few years back, I remember he was in the celebrity NBA basketball game, and he was one of the only players out there dunking at over 300 pounds. He was like 6'4", 300 pounds, and he's out there dunking the ball in, and it was just ridiculous.
Fun fact about Myles Garrett: if he sacks you, you go to this place called Myles Garrett's Graveyard. And
Yep.
at Halloween, every quarterback that he's ever sacked in his entire
tombstone.
career has a tombstone. Which, I mean, he's been playing football for a lot of years. So you can imagine that his entire front yard, and he's rich, so his entire front yard is huge, is filled with gravestones.
Now, branching off into some mailbag questions. We had some fans asking some questions in there, just trying to see some ideas. So first one came in was, if you could build an offensive line entirely out of defensive lineman players in the NFL, who are you picking? Where do you think they're lining up?
Okay. Well,
Like, talk about our starters. Talk about guys like Myles Garrett, for example. He's probably playing left or right tackle. I'd probably put him at left tackle in the sense of, he's a bigger guy. He's got the speed. He can come around, block for you.
if I took Aaron Donald, I'd place him at, in my eyes, the crucial point for the offensive line, because the offensive line, you can have great tackles and you can have great guards, but without a great center,
I agree.
Your offensive line is not a successful piece.
And I think he'd be perfect because he's the undersized guy.
And he's smart.
But he's smart. And he's got the power and the skill. I mean, imagine a guy like that blocking downfield and demolishing backers and safeties.
And two things I always told my kids. If you're going to go to the gym and you can only be there for a certain amount of time and you only have things to do quick, you do your bench press and you do your squats.
Yep.
Because that guy can bench press 2 linemen at a time.
Oh, yeah.
By himself.
My right tackle, honestly, I'm probably taking Chris Jones. I think he's got the size and the arm length to be able to play right tackle.
Yep.
I think that's a big one for sure. Interior guy.
I'm taking Myles Garrett as my left tackle.
Oh, I'm taking Myles Garrett as left tackle 100%.
Hands down.
So now, filling the 2 guard roles, you probably want someone a little bit, I wouldn't say as big as your left tackle, but you want someone a little bit faster and then rolling through. So biased in me. Again, people might hate me for this, but I'm taking Jalen Carter at right guard.
Right.
I think that he'd have the perfect ability for his pulls. I think he would just be able to have that fast speed out there to go through. And then the other guard position, I'm trying to think of a big dog. Be good.
That big guy just got drafted out of Florida.
Oh my gosh, the big monster there. He'd be decent for sure.
Oh, buddy, I'd have him at guard. He can move. It's literally for the top of my head question.
But TJ would also be a good guard too. TJ Watt.
Buddy.
TJ Watt I think would be a solid guard too.
And then my right guard, I'm going with my guy. I'm going with my condor. He's mean.
You're right. Max would be a great guard.
He's got some speed behind him.
I agree.
He's meaner and mean.
I agree. Max Crosby would be a great guard.
And then, we're also forgetting about the leading outgoing sack leader. I mean,
this is true. Henderson also, he'd be a monster.
Like, he is tall, he's thick, he's big, he's got an attitude. I mean, I'm putting him at the left guard spot.
Yeah. Now, this is a good one too. If you were coaching a rookie offensive lineman, or let's say any rookie lineman going into, U Sports, junior, university, anything like that, what's one piece of advice that you would give?
Like my offensive line coach, Austin Dunbar said the other day, it's a job. And if you're going to the next level, you treat that like a job. You get your hard hat and you get your sandwich and you put that in your lunch bag and you get to work.
You can pick one of these if you want to ask me too. But
all right, sorry, I was a little spacey there. It's a little early. We're doing this different time zones, and I came in, so I had to have 1 coffee this morning before we got this going. Would you rather fight 1 Lane Johnson-sized kicker or 5 kickers the size of
Lane Johnson?
Lane Johnson, sorry.
A Lane Johnson-sized kicker or 5 kickers sized Lane Johnsons. So smaller, so you take probably like 5 Lane Johnsons at like 5'7" to 5'9", or you get 1 giant Lane Johnson sized kicker.
I'll have to go with the 5. I'm gonna have to go with the 5 little guys. We're talking like they would be the size of a kicker. So kickers are usually about like 5'8", 7 pounds each. They got the biggest leg in the world.
Because I'm telling you right now, kicker or not, I ain't fighting a guy Lane Johnson size. The guy's a fucking monster,
right?
Like it'd be like a guy your height and size, but throw a 6-pack on you and have all the muscle in the world and own a bunch of guns. Like, I'm good. I'm a good on that one. Now I think this is a cool one. If you had to replace an O-line coach with a celebrity, who do you think you'd pick? Why and what would the coaching style be?
Have you ever seen Matthew McConaughey on Texas? He's on Texas and he's on the sidelines with Texas and his passion. And then you see him doing some things like, and you watch him doing a roll and he weighs 8 pounds. And the next roll, he's jacked up and he's like 240 and he's just ripped. Like a guy with that kind of mental fortitude and the way that he can talk. And you see his passion for football. He has mad passion for football. That's the guy that I would take.
See, personally, I'm probably going a little more funny side of this, but I'm taking Shane Gillis.
Yeah.
You give me Shane Gillis, you get me a guy that has the resume he has. I think he'd go out there and do a great job. I think he'd bring the fun vibes in there too.
Yeah.
He'd be cracking jokes the whole time. He'd be the guy's guy. He'd be having a great time. But last one I want to do for this one is if linemen had their own Pro Bowl event, which they should have, which I'm hoping Protector Award we get more stuff of this as well too. What do you think should be a lineman contest? Do you think we should have maybe the pancake contest, double team dodgeball drill, maybe a fat guy relay? What do you think?
Again, like for us big guys, they're gonna throw it down. Like usually when they throw it down to do something like that, they're gonna want to see something physical. You know what I mean? But as much as playing football is physical for an offensive line, that's only the small portion of what those guys go through every single day. So I'd like to see something funny. I'd like to see like a mental drill, like a Jeopardy or like something that's
I can see that where it's almost like a place like skill testing,
right? Because I mean, like let's go physicality wise, who's more physical than the guy in the locker room? The offensive line are the biggest, the baddest guys out there. So I mean, that way, I'd love to see, you see some of these offensive lines, like you're talking about how they have, they're singing and they're doing Dancing with the Stars. I think you guys even had a magician for a while on your team.
He was the long snapper,
right?
Yep.
And like, I'd like to see something like that go down, where it's like, comedy skit or something different, something funny, something different. The one, who would you take?
I'd probably say the pancake contest. I think it'd be cool to have an idea of you could switch it up where you could do a double down, right? So you could have you gotta eat as many pancakes you could possibly eat, and then you have to go out and whoever can hit the main amount of these blocks to be able to pancake them, and maybe it's just a guy sitting here with a bag or just a machine where you have to hit a certain amount of pressure on it to become the pancake block and come over on it,
Yep.
and then how many times you can get that done in a certain amount of time after eating all those pancakes. That being said, we are getting to the end of our podcast episode here.
I wanted to ask one more question on this.
Oh, sorry, okay.
I know we don't got a lot of time, but this one kind of intrigues me. This one I'm asking you guys. What lineman in NFL history do you think would be the funnest for us to interview on Hoggie Shuffle? So, like, there is some crazies, and like just one off the top of my head would be Whitworth.
Oh
the
yeah,
Bengals
awesome.
And the Rams, just because he's a humanitarian. So for me, seeing some of the things and seeing even guys in the NFL who, as even one story I heard where he was 6 years old and he came into his classroom in Cincinnati, and just sitting with him for half an hour gave that kid enough jump to make it to the NFL. Like that would be
so cool.
I would love to ask him that question right to his face and just feel his reaction. It would probably send me into tears because I'm a very soft big man, but so that's just off the top.
For me, I would honestly, I'd love to have Mr. Jason on the podcast. I think that'd be so cool. Just getting to pick his brain and just getting to see the reality of what the best vibed offensive lineman ever was. I'm sorry, he's the best vibe guy in the offensive line of all time. There's no one has better vibes than him.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I always say to coach here, you got to have a rah-rah guy in your team.
Yep.
And I learned that from a great coach. And without a rah-rah guy on the team, you're just never going to have that next gear. And Jason,
he's the guy.
He's the rah-rah guy in his own family.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Well, guys, that is the main meat and potatoes of the podcast episode today. I'm glad you guys stayed along for the ride. We had a lot of fun today. It was really awesome. You get to sit with my brother finally. It's been a few months of getting to actually see him.
Right.
We're going to go out. We're going to celebrate our nephew's graduation and stuff today. So, this will be posted up on Wednesday. So, obviously, we recorded this back, I believe. Yeah, it'll be Sunday today. We're recording it. So, we'll post this up on Wednesday. Every week, we've got more episodes coming out, guys. So, make sure you like, share, follow, subscribe, wherever you get this podcast. If you're watching on Spotify, if you're watching on YouTube, if you've seen me on the shorts, shoot me a like, put a comment in there, engage with us. We're trying to grow this. We're trying to have lots of fun with it, but it doesn't happen unless we get you guys, the fans out there that want to grow it and want to engage.
And I think one thing we talked about on this is we're going to try this summer, and we're going to be down in my neck of the woods when Preston comes and visits me, and I think we're going to try to do a podcast out in the wilderness. So
That'd be awesome.
And by wilderness, I mean I live in this great place, and it's got this beautiful lake, and we're just going to hop on a boat, and I think we're going to do the podcast from there.
That'd be fun. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you back next week.
See you later.